You can control the volume from there.
Like it's volume here?
Yeah.
When I do that, it's coming off of that.
Yeah.
So is that
That's when the Skype that's where her voice is gonna come up. Through
okay?
that.
Okay. So okay.
You want water? Doc, you want water? No, she's got her water. Yeah. Yes, please. I got the blue paper. Not gold, plain, painless. I've got some of the
She's just on.
Audio.
Yeah. So when we're there, it's on the webcam up there.
You can actually start it before 3 o'clock.
Okay.
So the people that are actually
So what are they saying right now? Just that?
Yes.
So, did he say it's connected well? Everything's good on the team? Well, is there a way he can let us know if he needs to do something in the middle of the...
Does he have WhatsApp?
I don't know, but you're welcome to myself right here. So I'm just wondering. He gave me his cell phone.
Yeah, he has his cell phone.
Yeah, that's good. I'm pretty sure that's the office number right there. Right? So let me just text him and see.
You can text back to his cell phone number so I can write it to him. Or if he has WhatsApp or Viber. Sorry. It shows live though. It's probably just froze a little bit. I just want, just in case I don't know. So if you want me to get your cell phone number, it's okay.
Okay, I think we're going to get started now. I'd like to thank all faculty, all administrators for your patience. Hapaday, good afternoon. We are at our second year in networking, promoting, assisting, introducing, reintroducing service learning to all of us. This is the first of a 3-day, we were at a conference the first year. We have been moving up in the hierarchy. We are now a 3-day summit. For those of you that are interested in obtaining 1 graduate credit, your attendance is mandatory today, tomorrow, Friday, all day, and Saturday, all day. That would be from 8 to 2 tomorrow, 8 to 2 on Saturday. Thank you. Any questions? Feel free to enjoy the snacks. I know it's sugar. You all work very hard, so does our superintendent and our speaker. I thought a little sugar would help me along the way to at least sit until 6 o'clock with us this evening. To open this summit, I'd like to bring up our esteemed superintendent, Mr. John J.P. Fernandez. Please give him your warm welcome.
Happy day, everybody. Are those crown donuts?
Yes, of course.
Those melted and but I'm trying to shift gears because I just came from GW. And that crowd was a different crowd, a lot of high school students and Baby Joe, Timing Girl, and Frank the Crank Camacho. And, I felt revved up to be with that crowd. But now we're here talking about service learning, so I'm going to try to make that transition. I want to thank our speaker here, who has always been supportive of us in the Department of Education, and we'll talk a little bit about service learning from her perspective, having seen the law come to fruition and observed and be able to inform us about the intents and purposes of that law. What I'm here to tell you is my experience with it, and to kind of put it in a framework from how I see it in the department. Over the last 2.5 years that I've been here, we've gone from an agency that's, that said, hey, we have this requirement in the law. What are we supposed to do about this? And I said, well, what do we do? What do we tell our kids? Follow the law, right? We follow our law, we follow the law, that's what we're supposed to do. But really, that's not what I'm here to talk about. What I'm here to talk about is, service learning as part of our school culture, as part of what we expect when we move our kids from kindergarten, soon to be pre-kindergarten, to high school and to graduation, that we're not just building students who are really good at social studies or students who are going to be really good at math. I mean, that's something we want to do, but we also want to teach them their other roles in the community. And that means becoming a member, a productive member of the community. That means caring about the community, being aware of those issues, being a part of the solutions, and so forth. So that's, to me, what service learning is about and the intent of it. And now we're here in the department trying to work out the mechanics. So over the last, as I said, 2.5 years, we went through, I went through a parent-teacher conference, and I sat down and people were asking questions like, okay, so whose responsibility is it? Is it the students? Because if they don't hit their number of hours, they're not going to graduate. So is it the students who have to implement this? Is it the teachers? Are they supposed to bear the burden of trying to figure this out? Is it the administrators? Is it the parents? And what is it? So, I mean, the answer, of course, is everybody needs to be aware of the expectations of what we're supposed to do in order to graduate, in order to fulfill the intent of the service learning requirements. But from an administrative standpoint, we also all have to recognize our roles. So from there, we said, look, we can't put the burden only on the students, and sometimes it feels that way. We get there, they don't have enough hours, so I'm sorry, we can't graduate. And I don't think that's what the intent was. I don't think that we want to see that happen. But the teachers need some guidance too. So the teachers have teachers have to offer service learning opportunities, and we need to be able to guide you as to what that means. So does going to the island, the island-wide, the coastal cleanup count? Does going to a field trip to the UOG farm, count? What counts as service learning? So a lot of questions came out from the teachers, and when I went to Hookah, I had a student come up and say, I said, how are you doing with service learning? And she was only a sophomore at the time. She said, man, it just depends which teacher you have. So, I understood that the teachers needed to kind of figure out what their role was, but also to take responsibility. But it doesn't end there. Over the last year, we've said, so is it the teachers? How do we know that the teachers are fulfilling their role? And so the answer was, well, are the administrators aware of what their responsibility is? And are they facilitating service learning in the schools? There ought to be, if we're going to talk about consistency across classrooms, if we're going to talk about ensuring that the service learning requirements are fulfilled, the administrators need to be aware of this, because they need to be facilitating those improvements and that alignment, so that when I ask a question, I can feel some confidence in that process. And then this year, the first year, where the graduating seniors are going to have to meet that service learning requirement, over the summer we said, by now the schools need to know where they are. So we started to say, look, where the administrators need to know, and we need to say, where are our students from high school to high school? How many are expected to graduate, and what does our progress look like? And for those who are on track, great. And there are some students who you wouldn't believe have just, have gone and surpassed the requirements already. And those students, we really thank them for being such active members of our community. There are those who are on track, but just need to make sure they're on track. And then there are those who are far behind. Those are the ones I see at the parent-teacher conferences. The parents are saying, I wasn't aware. How did my kid fall this far behind? And what do I do? So now we're actively tracking to make sure that we can understand how far we are from that goal, and we'll continue to do so. And every school is required to have a service learning action plan to address those needs. So as you can see, it's like going from here's a law that we need to comply with, to we've got to take ownership of this. We've got to understand that this is our responsibility. We understand the intent and the goals, and we want to facilitate this so that at the end of the day, the students benefit from it and aren't penalized for it. I think that's where we're headed. And of course, there's always improvements to be made. And I like the discussion that I heard, that's been happening and is going to happen over the next few days as to how we move in that spirit of not just trying to be compliant, but to try to fulfill the spirit of the law, try to improve upon it and administer it, and then ultimately not burden our students, but really have them benefit from what we're requiring. So of course, always open to input, but this is actually like our first year of actual, where this is the first year where we're going to see the full push and to see how many students are able to meet these requirements. And I'm actually expecting that we will do well, and we're going to continue to track. And at the end, we'll see where we are, and of course, have that discussion with our speaker, with our board, with others, as to how we can improve upon that situation and keep moving forward. So that's kind of where we're going. Going forward, I think we're talking about how do we, build upon this implementation that we're doing and really, again, further fulfill this this challenge of ensuring that our students come out understanding their role in the community and how we can really be a positive asset. So that's why the middle schools are here. That's why the elementary schools are here. That's why we have some School of Ed students who are here to say, look, we're not just done by getting the number of hours, but we're there to promote a culture of service aligned with teaching and learning. And we want you to be proficient in your core content areas. We want you to also know that we need you, students, to be a part of the solutions to our island's problems. And that experience and exposure in school, we hope to help them. So, I think we're improving. I hope you feel that same way, that we are getting, improving things, and everyone's got a shared responsibility, that no individual teacher bears or parent or student bears the burden, but we all have a responsibility here, and we're going to make it better. Now, again, when I went to the parent-teacher conference this year, student comes in. I want you just to know my vision of how this thing is going to eventually be improved. Student comes up to me and her parent, and she says, she has 20 service learning hours and she's supposed to graduate. And so I turned to her and said, well, and I told to the student, I said, so what's your plan? And that's the key question. So the student needs to know, and I need to get 75. How do I get from here in the first quarter to the end? And I said, well, what are you doing to get that, to gather the information? Well, I'm talking to my teachers, and I said, well, your teachers don't know the big picture. They know their class, and they know that they're going to offer you service learning opportunities, and you need to, figure out which you're going to take advantage of. But ultimately, what I would hope is that you have a plan, and you know what service learning opportunities are there at this point in the year, and you're able to say, I'm going to accumulate those hours in this manner. Is that happening? Can we do that now? Do teachers have a year-long plan of service learning opportunities that they can guarantee to every student? I don't know. Some teachers do, some teachers don't. He says, well, I learned about this last service learning opportunity a week before, and I couldn't go because I don't have transportation. So, well, that's not enough time to plan, and that's certainly not enough. Those aren't enough options for you to make sure that you are guaranteeing your path and your progress. But somewhere you want, just as we know when we get to the beginning of our senior year, how many credits we need to graduate. Well, you should know how many hours you need, right? What classes to take, what service learning options should be available, and you shouldn't, as a student or a parent, have to say, boy, I hope there are enough opportunities, and that she's with the right teacher, and that the principal is on top of this. You want to say, look, I can plan because we know what's ahead, we know what service learning opportunities ought to be offered, and we, as a consumer of education, just as we would plan the classes we're going to take to graduate, I can plan my service learning path from where I am, whether I'm a freshman or a rising senior, to the end. And so I don't think we're there yet. I still hear stories about, about things that are challenges, but that's where we need to be. So just as we treat our graduation requirements, the service learning requirements need to be as transparent, planned out, and available, so that as a student and as a parent, as a consumer of what we're providing in the school system, they're able to understand how they're going to accomplish these requirements that we set out for them. So I want to thank you for being here. Think about where we're going with this, and I want you to know that I support it. I support service learning because I'm a very public service oriented person throughout my career and as a student as well. And I believe intrinsically that value is important to helping students become a vital part of this community. Whatever they end up becoming, they're going to be the solutions to the problems that we face today and in the future. So I want to thank you. On that note, let me go ahead and turn this over to Speaker Wampat. All right? Take the honor. So this is, let me turn it over to Speaker Judy Wampat. I know she's next on the agenda. Did you have a more introduction for her?
I wanted to.
Okay, let me go ahead and do that. So you can properly introduce her. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. We want you back every year, okay, Speaker? Yes, Speaker Wampa will be coming up. She is the 33rd again Speaker for the Guam Legislature. She holds a doctorate in educational leadership from the University of San Diego. And this wonderful professional mother, you wear many hats, also holds a master's in guidance and counseling here at our University of Guam, a retired public educator, but more importantly, she has worn many hats. One of them is an administrator with DOE not too long ago, making me feel young. Retired public educator she is. She has a Facebook. If you all want to Facebook the writer, Judith.w.pat, so you can get her on Facebook. Also the author of our Service Learning 17 Guam Code Annotated Chapter 4, Section 4124, Service Learning Guidelines. Let's give a warm welcome to our speaker, Wampa.
Thank you very much. I don't need to introduce me just as Judy.
No.
Good afternoon. So I was studying with elementary, middle, and high school teachers and administrators. That's great because although I know that service learning was geared primarily for the high schools, but I'd like to really speak to the elementary and middle school because that's where it really starts, and believe it or not, even to adulthood. So anyway, bonus and half a day. I'd like to thank, of course, the hardworking staff of the Department of Education, Division of Curriculum and Instructional Improvement, and members of the Service Learning Summit Committee for organizing the second annual summit. As the author of Service Learning Law, I'm honored to be here today. I was asked to share my vision in authoring this law, and I must say that it actually began in the classroom when I was a middle school teacher. At that time, most volunteer activities involved students who participated in clubs and organizations like the National Junior Honor Society, which required students to engage in community service. My students, who were not members of NJHS or other clubs, wondered why they couldn't participate in service activities like volunteering in St. Donald's. As their teacher, I was proud of them for wanting to give back to the community, and I was compelled to provide opportunities for them to do so. Students who do not qualify for honor societies or who do not have the ability to join a club or an organization should still be encouraged to volunteer in our community. Thus, when I became a senator, I wrote a service learning law to ensure that before graduating, every student was enriched by the experience of giving back through service. But it didn't stop there. I actually have also authored with former Speaker Ben Pangalima on a volunteerism program for adults to be able to come back into the community, government service, and volunteer. The fear, of course, at that time was protected employees these volunteers who are not government employees. The third legislation was CAPE. CAPE is this organization in which we bring volunteers from the community to go out, and we started out originally of having these adults give individuals tickets for parking in persons with a disability. There's parking stops. So we started out with that. They were very successful. They came back and asked for additional responsibilities. The most recent responsibility is to allow them to be able to drive around in all of our schools. If they notice any activities happening there, they are to call in the police. They were trained by GCC and GPD and were able to give citations. So those two other programs, hopefully the service learning will be very successful. So to get back to service learning, I strongly believe that we must instill in our students a sense of responsibility to their community and a desire to use their skill to help others. It is important for students to know that they can make a difference. That is why service learning is so valuable. And it responds to what I call an acronym that I created as a school principal called Simple, S-I-M-P-L-E. Heard this, not very much younger when I was a school principal, so it stands for S for their social needs, I for their intellectual needs, M, their moral needs, P, their physical needs, E for learning, their love for learning, and L and E, their emotional needs. Simple, although we have learned that they are not simple. So in teaching our students to value others, we are helping them to value themselves and the role they play in our community. This fulfills the mission of education, which is to teach our children to become respectful, contributing members of society. I had also hoped in drafting this legislation that service learning activities would expose students to a variety of careers in the community. Service learning connects students to groups and individuals who make a difference daily. Their service learning supervisors often become mentors who help them grow in positive ways. Through a combination of mentorship and service, students learn the unique needs of their community, developing a deeper understanding of politics, morality, and civic responsibility. Ultimately, the hope is that they will walk away from their service learning experiences empowered to become active contributors to society throughout high school and the rest of their lives. Engaging in service learning can help to shape our students' personal vision and career path in the future. Overall, the goal of service learning is to inspire in our students a desire to contribute to society, a desire to engage with their community, and a desire to make a difference. Service learning is not supposed to be a burden. It is a creative and exciting approach to learning. Teachers must view it this way and present it to students with enthusiasm. Give them examples of things they can do. Exciting things like planting a community garden, mentoring younger children, or raising awareness about an important issue that affects them. I strongly encourage teachers to think outside of the box. Challenge your students to assess the needs of their community as they design their service learning projects. And I wrote some examples, some of the things that I thought of that we really actually have here at the island. It's not very difficult to even, look further. For example, local animal shelters that we have are always in need of volunteers for certain things that they need help with. Our senior citizens like St. Dominic's or the Trinidad. Every community has senior citizen senators also who would really love to have students come to volunteer. Helping other students, a program once that I started in the middle school, where we took every student, any student who's received a grade of C and above can mentor other students. And many times our teachers will stay after school to mentor, to tutor, and students don't want to come because they're worried that they'll be labeled. But when you have students teach other students, mentor other students, tutor other students, then their students are far more receptive to that. And then recently, we were asked again by 2 organizations about feeding the homeless and asking the legislature to do a canned food drive. And that's an example also that we do every day. Sometimes we don't even think that that's actually an activity that our students can be involved in. The environment, that as well has been we have Marine Mania, they're very active. And the superintendent mentioned the coastal cleanup is another. So there are many different types of activities of service learning and service learning hours that our students can easily put in to fulfill this. And these are things that are doing all around us. So for all of you who are here, then I really commend you today that you're wanting to explore and continue, of course, to promote and perfect service learning in our island schools. We all play a very important role in ensuring the success of this initiative and more significantly the success of our students. And as the superintendent had stated, is that we want it to really work, we want it to be perfect, and that I'm open as well to continue to work with the schools to see then if there's anything that needs to be done to tweak the law. As a matter of fact, before this all happened, was the end of last year's graduation, I had actually considered extending the day because of some comments that I heard at GW about not fulfilling the number of hours needed to do this. But then I was advised by others that by doing so, then opens, of course, the door for more extensions and then eventually we're going to get to where we're at today. And today again, hopefully that, and if you've read the newspaper, specifically in the news, it says learn about volunteering at Sunday Fair. I don't know if you've heard about this. But in this case, of course, they're giving an award of the most students from a school who would participate, with nonprofit organizations and other kindergarten clubs. And they're going as far down as the middle school, of course, to allow them to be able to participate in this. So it's getting a lot of momentum, not just in the schools, but in other areas of our community. As I said earlier, even the adults in our own community and in Guam. So thank you very much for this opportunity. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them for you outside to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Speaker Wampa. I know how busy you are with your schedule, but you always give us time. Do you have any questions for our speaker? Anyone? This is the time to shoot her, figuratively speaking. Okay, thank you, Speaker. All right, and I did not want to be remiss. What happened to Dr. Signatures? Never bite the hand that feeds Guam Department of Education. I'm going to take a moment to say that we are running on a really large budget, zero. But thanks to the Dean of School of Education, Dr. John Sanchez, give him a warm welcome. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't have a home. I'd like to call him up to say a few words to all of you about service learning as well. And then we'll send you off on a sugar break. And then when you come back, we'll listen to our regional speaker and that as well as our local provider perspectives. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Happy day, everybody. Very participative group here. I just want to welcome you to this conference that we have today. The theme you can see is strengthening through mentoring, and I did just want to mention and highlight the mentoring portion of this. As I look around the room, I could probably name half of you in here. Raise your hand if you were my student. I always like doing this. Yeah. That you in here provide. The reason why I can name most of you in here, even if you're not my student, is because most of you also participate in other things with the department. How many of you have been through anything with Eloise before? Okay, so you know that we recognize that the pool of teachers who are willing to put in some time and effort into extracurricular activities, service, is very small. And I just wanted to take the time today to recognize you in here who have taken the time out of your schedule to come, who have participated year in and year out in different Department of Education activities and initiatives, because this mentoring portion of service, strengthening through mentoring, that's where you all fit in. You are not only a mentor to your peers, involved in some of the activities that you yourself here. They consist with other activities that the classroom supervisor has committed themselves to. But with the mentoring of your peers, there's also the mentoring of your students. I was just remembering, how did Department of Education, how did the schools get into this? When did it become the school's responsibility to basically teach their children character? Wasn't this a family responsibility? Wasn't it the parents' job to raise their children? I recall some of you in here may remember watching Little House on the Prairie on TV. Laura Ingalls, on her way to school, what was she carrying with her books? A lunch pail. It was the family's responsibility to feed the child. That's no longer the case. It's the school's responsibility. And if the child doesn't like the food, they complain to the school. And now we've gotten to a point where we're also educating the child on being a contributing member of society. It's true. It's difficult to accept, but that's the reality of today. And so we need our educators, our teachers, our counselors, our administrators to recognize that they are indeed mentors for these students, because they may not, and in all likelihood, they aren't getting it at home. If we do believe that our purpose as educators is to improve our community, then we need to recognize the fact that we are mentors for our students. And for those of you who are here today, I just wanted to say congratulations for picking up this torch today. So congratulations and welcome. And by the way, if you didn't get the note, we're streaming.
Yes.
Are we streaming right now?
No, we're not going to stream.
Yes.
You have a birthday this week.
Yeah, but so this is live on the internet.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and there's a camera facing you right over there. Everybody wave.
It's actually.
Oh, this is the camera. Okay. So, but Carmen will tell you more about that, as well as inform us anything, right?
Anyway, I'm going to go off the agenda today. We're going to go ahead and allow you to take a 15-minute break. Would you like a break right now? Yes. Right. Okay. So hang on. Hold on. When you do come back, you're going to listen. We're going to be hearing from our regional service learning professional directly from Hawaii, Dr. Ming, and I will talk a little bit about her background. In the meanwhile, you're right. This today is about you, and it is about our service providers and what their expectations of us and what their expectations are of them. Yes? So go enjoy your 15-minute break. I will yell when it's time to sit. Thank you. For those of you that are just coming in, please register with Michelle to my right. Likewise, if you are planning on earning one graduation credit, you must attend today, tomorrow, and Saturday, not partial, but throughout the program, the activity. So today is 3 to 6, tomorrow 8 to 2, Saturday 8 to 2. Please see the registration. Beautiful, handsome man right over there. What is your name? Eric, right there. So see him, pay him your $200. That was a joke. Okay, never mind. $20. Thank you. Oh, thank you for coming. I said the service learning provider.
So question again. Or Brian. Oh, this is still on. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Am I?
Yes, we're live, Valerie.
We cannot stop it.
Oh, that's fine. We know you did it on purpose.
We can't stop it.
Can't stop.
Because it's using a.
I almost did that. You just turn it around. Yeah, that was really practice. One time, the second time, we put you some back here.
Is it okay with her, Pam? Is it okay with Dr. Pam? They were just, I could feel the crowd. I don't know how I did it. I just said,
What's another mess?
One more time. Say hi.
All right, I'd like to ask while you're sitting and just relaxing for the next couple of minutes, will you please wave to the camera? This is your first day, wave. Smile. There you go. I like that contestant. Great. We're going to get started in about another minute. No? Oh, how many more minutes? 3 more minutes. Thank you.
Okay, let me just do a quick sound check with it. Anybody can hear me? Yeah, we're gonna hear you. It's already connected to the speaker, so about 3 minutes, and then MC will introduce you, and then we'll just turn right over to you, and then I'll the chat box. You look fantastic. We're having fun with the web stream today. About how many people?
Uh,
About 70. It's a good sized group. And I just ran into a teacher I said I'm going to look up and let you know that she's here. She said she knew you and she was actually at your place. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And she said to say, yeah, I'll tell you so. I'm sorry. Okay. Well, she said to tell you hello. So actually, I need to turn down the voice a little bit because you're already on speaker and like it's quiet, then they'll be able to hear. But then I'll turn you back up. So can you hear everything so you'll know when it's your cue to go? Okay. So then we're gonna. Your picture is not on the screen yet. I'll wait until she does the introduction. So you can relax and drink your water. And then as soon as she does the introduction, then I'll take the cover, my poster cover off. Thank you. And
You let me know. You won't be bored. I'll let the cheese. I'll get it nice. Don't ever Saturday we have little bread. We want to be sandwiches and brownies. Okay. How was your break? Good? You sugared up a little? Okay. If you notice on your handout in your pamphlet, the theme of over the next 3 days is obviously strengthening through mentoring. And the committee have looked at how can we assist you as teachers, faculty, I'd rather administrators, as well as our students, to understand service learning, the program, the concept a little better. I mean, we're mandated to do it, so we need to provide you as much help as possible. So we looked at 2 concepts for today, just for you. Man, Jamie, am I boring you? No. Girlfriend. I saw that wonderful. Okay, all right. At any rate, the summit committee looked at, well, what can we do to make it a little better for the teachers, for the students, for the parents, for the administrators. So it was opted that today would be you, the audience, and you will be communicating with the service providers. But when we looked at the service providers, we also wanted to hear from a regional perspective, and we were fortunate enough, thanks to Pam from PREL, hooray, we managed to convince Dr. Ming Ho to talk to you, and we will be live. It'll be an audio feed, and hopefully we'll be able to see her. Okay, and then afterwards, we'll be hearing from several local perspectives, and I'm gonna ask Dr. Sanchez to come back up this way. So to begin this conversation on strengthening through mentoring, and you see Dr. Ko in the background, notice he cannot talk yet, because I need to tell you a little bit more about this wonderful woman, this wonderful professional. Dr. Ming Wei Ko is the eco-literacy specialist. Prior to joining PREL, she was the Sustainability Curriculum Facilitator at Hawaii Preparatory Academy, right there in Hawaii Island. Dr. Ko has been trained to integrate education for sustainability standards and ecological principles into the classroom curriculum, professional development courses, and community outreach programs. So we're looking at someone that really knows her work, especially service learning. She's a certified Waldorf educator. Dr. Cole was also a classroom teacher, so she's no stranger to education. And she's done this over 10 years, right before creating and directing a small Waldorf-inspired school in Hawaii. She has also developed school garden teacher trainings with the Kohala Center. Her research includes how the school learning garden experience is a context conducive to teaching core subjects, STEM, which we are trying really hard to promote here in Guam, Department of Guam Education, and foundational life skills, and has created the pedagogy of food education she believes in and shares. And believe me, she's quite passionate about it. Her responsibility at PREL currently includes climate change education, curriculum, and professional development. I'm going to ask you, colleagues, to give this wonderful professional a wonderful half-a-day warm welcome. Welcome, Dr. Cole. You're on.
Aloha and half-a-day. Oh, good, you can hear me. So if I may ask your permission to begin with a chant that will ask permission, respectfully ask permission to share with you some of my thoughts. And so if it is suitable and appropriate, may I share with you a very short chant just to welcome us in, as well as to show my respect. I see lots of nodding. And I will explain the chant after I do it. It's very short. I will do it 3 times. Hea hea ka leo leo ona kupa, kupa oka aina, aina o kiave, veli na mai. Hea hea ka leo leo ona kupa, kupa oka aina, aina o kiave, veli na mai. Hea hea ka leo leo ona kupa, kupa oka aina, aina o kiave, veli na mai. So the chant is a call. Listen to the voice as we call. So hea hea ka leo, a call. Leo ona kupa. Kupa are the citizens. They are us. Kupa oka aina, the citizens, the residents, the inhabitants of aina. Aina means that which feeds. Sometimes it's loosely translated as land. However, you can relate as island folk. We also get our food and our nourishment from the ocean. So let's include the definition of aina, of that with which feeds, to encompass the whole region. Maybe Apupua'a is the Hawaiian word, and I know you have one in tomorrow, that includes the whole range, the food shed, the watershed. Aina Okiawe is the big island of Hawaii. So I, as a resident, I am coming to you out of respect, calling that we all become together, Velina Mai. Together we become inhabitants and citizens of the Aina, that which feeds. So again, thank you very much for inviting me. And I believe the first slide that is on is just the title, Strengthening Through Mentoring. And just briefly, what I'll do is I'll introduce myself and then be prepared for a lot of audience participation. So some of you have had experience being in my sessions before, know that I'm not going to do too much talking. You are going to be talking a lot to each other. And that's the fun part about being a facilitator. So first things first, I would like to establish that although like called a professional, I'm very glad I was called a professional. I am not the only expert in the room. All of you are experts. And it's my job right now to create a safe, respectful situation where we can all share freely. In the words of the dean, he asked, who is responsible? Is it the students, the teachers, the families? And I resonate with his answer that is, we are all responsible. So again, we are all here as equal learners and teachers. I am willing and excited to learn from you as much as I am humbled to be able to share it with you. So I would like to establish that. And then if we'll go to the next slide, please. So just briefly about myself, I will come out straight away and talk about my bias. Already the MC who introduced me said that my work is in school learning gardens. And so that's my current bias. School learning gardens is currently my answer to everything. So if you're worried about climate change and you want to do something about it, the answer is school gardens. If you want to do STEM and service learning, the answer is school gardens. So anyway, just to let you know my bias. However, we have so many avenues to serve, and we are so fortunate to be able to have this opportunity to have this next few days with our service providers to look at all the ways we can serve. So just a little bit of background. I must be partly tomorrow because I'm crazy about food. I've had the opportunity to visit Guam twice and also had the honor of hosting some guahans at my farm in Hawaii. So I understand and relate very closely to this value around food. So I got into gardening because of food. I wanted to know where my food came from, and most of all for economic reasons. I wanted to be able to save some money. But thirdly, if this is not a humble reason, I wanted to be able to say at potlucks, just like you have potlucks there in Guam all the time, we also have in Hawaii. And you bring this dish and you can say, everything in this dish I grew myself. So it was this idea of sustainability and self-reliance, which I believe are some of the core messages you have ingrained into service learning. I've been reading your documents that you produced, and truly, sustainability, self-reliance, ability to make do are some of the core values that you have in your work. So here, just a small montage of myself working in the garden and with teachers in the garden and with children in the garden, just to give you a background of who I am and where I come from. I've had the privilege of then using the observations and the skills gained from working in the land and in the soil and applying it to climate change education, into the idea of service, and into the idea of really building community resilience. So next slide, please. So my philosophy or my personal mission is to inspire young people to think about the world and their relationship to it and the ability to influence it in an entirely new way, which, as you know, service learning provides this opportunity for having a different kind of relationship with the world and with community. I love this picture. My favorite is that little start to get to the butterfly, that excitement and enthusiasm on his face. He wants to have this connection, this relationship with this creature. And then the little girl in pink next to the girl who has the butterfly, the outstretched hands, this gesture of openness and trust often reminds me that when we work with children, as the adults, there is a connection, a dependence, a trust. Dean also asked, since when did schools become in charge of character education? And then that is so real now. I started teaching, like many of you, many years ago, and our role as educators has slowly shifted through the years. So thinking about a new way of influencing the world and knowing our roles are definitely changing as we go along. Next slide, please. So hopefully, by the end of the short half an hour to 40 minutes we have together, I hope that we can at least begin to develop a shared understanding and vocabulary of sustainability and service learning. And what do those actually have to do with mentoring? My ultimate goal is to connect mentoring and sustainability, and that truly, without mentoring, the sustainability of service learning will be quite difficult. The sustainability of service learning, I think, globally depends very much on the understanding of mentoring. And then I hope that we can generate a personal rationale for service learning for sustainability. And then what does that mean and where we can go with it. And of course, become inspired and hopeful about contributing to the shift toward a sustainable future through service learning. So these are a few of the outcomes. They may be more, and we welcome suggestions along the way. So it all begins with a change of thinking. The long quote actually from Einstein is, "The world as we created it is a process of our thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking." So for the next few minutes, I would like us to explore what kind of thinking do we need to have for strengthening through mentoring, for sustainability through service learning, and service learning for sustainability. What kind of mental models and patterns do we need to celebrate and do we need to change? Knowing that it all begins with us as individuals changing the way we think. So, this is my favorite part. You will turn and talk, and I believe you have been handed like little post-its as well. So turn and talk, discuss what is education for? And in service of what? What is education for? In service of what? If you get into diets or triads, discuss what it's like for, and then write down little notes on your little post-its. And then after about 5 to 6 minutes, I believe the MC will ask for some volunteers to share what your small group came up with when you discuss what is education for in service of what. Thank you.
6 minutes, yes?
Yeah, 5 to 6 minutes.
Okay, 5 to 6 minutes, get in groups. And the question's right there on the screen.
Is it up? Okay.
Don't worry, we're not going to grade you on this.
Oh, yes, I will.
They're going to be started. If I do that. What else? What else? I'm not shouting, it's just right there. People can understand.
Yeah.
No, if you have a couple more minutes, is that okay? Or? So let it go. Okay. And then,
we talked about free volunteer sharing.
yes, I just talked with her about that. So that's what we're doing. But we'll probably will connect to that. Oh, she's saying it's time. So.
Are we ready or do you need a few more minutes? Audience? 5 more minutes? 2 more minutes? Dr. Ko, how about a couple more minutes?
Sure.
Thank you. 2 more minutes. And that'll be Guam, 2 more minutes.
And be informed that we're planning to pass the microphone along the table with one person speak for the group. We would like your names, the schools that you represent, and your jobs. What do you play in school? So choose one person to speak for you. And we hope to get feedback from each group. It may take a little while, but it's going to be more interesting, I think. And we're nominating this group as #1.
We already have a group? Terrence, we have a group?
Yeah, we have a group.
Hey, we can probably hear from one more group.
Groups one.
Just probably a couple, so Dr. Ko can continue on with what her sharing, sharing with us about
I have 2 groups here.
No, you gotta get somebody back. But I'll tell you what, we definitely want to hear we want to read everyone's speak or everybody's input. So we're gonna ask all of you to turn in what you've written to the right.
Okay,
give it to Terrence.
we're ready to start.
Are we ready? Ko, we're ready, Dr. Ko. Okay.
Look forward to hearing from 3 volunteers what the group said.
Terrence, who's your first volunteer?
I don't know how this happened, but I have mine. I'm Joseph Devnisha from Southern High School, and we have Mickey Cruz from Ogden Middle School, Lou Dizon from League One, and William Civillo at Simon Sanchez. At James Morris, I'm sorry. Okay, so to answer the question, what is education for? to provide students with the skills to be independent and productive members of society. In service of what? In service of the community and the individual to improve future generations and a way of life and to enhance their quality of life. And that's pretty much what we have.
Got it. All right, do we have a volunteer at this end? Anybody in the back? How about you, Mr. Saavedra? Your group?
I know, I'm secretary now. What is education for? Well, you know, as an educator, or it might actually mention the same thing. I think education is to mold the new generation today to find their niche as individuals and understand their potential aptitudes and what is it that they want to do later on, and use whatever is it that we want them to, whatever skills that we want to give them, use it later on to actually be the future professionals who also are the future generation. And in service of what? Mike will explain it.
Here, education, we look at the student now, the student has that opportunity to move on. The service is allowing that student the opportunity. I come from the old school where the teacher tells me what exercise, what number, okay, when you're done, we'll grade it. Now I say to the students, well, I say to my students, it's your learning. I'm facilitating. Your future is dependent upon what you feel, what you think, and how you get about it. And that's why we're there. Service learning. We're providing that service to the students to reach deep into themselves and say, yes, I have a brain. Yes, I'm going to use it for my betterment. That's how I feel. Remember in the next election.
Go ahead, Terrence, one more group.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rochelle Campos. I'm a retired administrator, and I'm glad to be back in a classroom setting. Anyway, I have colleagues here, Ms. Janet Duenas and Mr. the illustrious Mr. Mesa, principal of the alternative school, and he volunteered me to speak up. He was my former principal, that's why I still can assign him to class. Anyway, our definition of education is very broad: to develop a well-rounded individual, socially, physically, intellectually, morally, in hope that this individual become a contributing and or productive member of society. And in what service? In many ways, serve the community as a whole, starts with the family, with the close-knit community, then getting larger as to we end up contributing to the whole of society, become sustainable and self-reliant person. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you all very much. I believe the organizers will be also collecting some of the answers and sharing that. So I've done this exercise for around the world, and wonderfully the answers and the responses are very, very similar. So almost no one says education is to prepare us to take tests. That usually is not an answer. Quite universally, the answers are exactly what you gave. Molding, developing, shaping, working with our young people so they can become contributing members of society. And in service of community, almost always, I would say 90%, that's the answer. In service of the common good, in service of community. And so it's so good to hear that the room is unified in that and moving forward from now, working towards this service learning in the hopes and intention of young people who can work with us for the common good. So this is wonderful that we can have this frame of reference, to always go back. That's why we're here. We're here because I am personally a little afraid of what the future might hold. However, I have full confidence and faith in the educators and in the students that I work with. Everywhere I go, I work with young people who have so much hope. In spite of climate change, in spite of difficulties, in spite of personal difficulties, social pressures, all around the world, you will find people who are serving in any way they can because they believe in community resilience and they believe that collectively we can have a sustainable future. So it's really heartwarming for me to know that we are in congruence. I'm miles apart away, different time zone, I'm trying to connect to you virtually, and yet I feel that we all have the same intention. And so thank you very much. Next slide, please. So just to offer, as we continue to develop our understanding of sustainability and what it has to do with service learning, may I offer this definition or this description by Joanna Meadows, that a sustainable society is one that is far-seeing enough. So here's something interesting about the 21st century, right? For the first time, we are preparing ourselves for a future that we really have no idea about. And is there even going to be a future? For the first time in a long time, we're asking those questions. Flexible enough. As standards come and standards go, I know those of you who have been in this profession for a long time, sometimes, we feel that autonomy has been taken away. And we can no longer integrate or maybe do interdisciplinary teaching and education like we used to. And along comes service learning that really, really, really demands a number one skill of flexibility. Those of you who have done it, you know you have to have plan A, A1, A2, A3, and then B1, B2, B3. Because you're working with real world service providers, you're working in community. So there's a lot of flexibility. And then this one, wise enough. And so we are fortunate, we meaning us here in Hawaii, and you in Guam, we still have a line into local indigenous or local ecological knowledge, this wisdom that our kupuna and our elders have. And through service learning, I believe that this wisdom can be passed on and can be gained. So we have far-seeing flexibility, wisdom, not to undermine either its physical or its social systems of support. So service learning can provide both physical and social systems of support. And in this way, when I look at service learning from the lens of sustainability, I see how it's a wonderful fit, it's a wonderful match. And it can really be part of providing skills for ourselves and our young people to develop and to create a sustainable society by being far-seeing, having long-term visions, flexibility, and the wisdom and learning from the wisdom of our mentors with whom we are working. Next slide, please. So one of the ways that we can do this, I call it think ecologically and act locally. Now, it used to be think globally, act locally. Do you remember that one? Yeah. However, we have found that it's very difficult unless you cultivate a strong sense of place, unless you know who you are in your local place. It's very difficult to then imagine yourself or imagine the globe. Imagine things globally. It's a difficult stretch. High schoolers do it a lot better than, say, middle schoolers. The elementary school children, it's very shift our way of thinking of ecological connections and celebrating what's happening ecologically. It makes it easier to act locally to make a difference. So one of the things that service learning does, and I believe can do even better, is to cultivate a strong sense of place. Again, it's really, a shift of thinking. knowing who you are and where you are, the strong connection to the place in which one lives. So students will recognize and value the interrelationships between the social, economic, ecological, and architectural history of that place and contribute to its continuous health. So here's the learning. The learning is the interrelationships between the social, economic, ecological, and architectural history of Guam. And then how do we contribute to its continuous health? That's the service. So looking at what's happening as interrelationships so that we know how we're going to act. And that might even simplify how you're going to organize things, because I know it's a challenge having so many people involved. So next slide, please. So more turn and talk. You can stick with the same group, or if you want to change a group. So what kinds of services and activities connect us to our place? What relationships and connections do we need? So this is going to let you get into the meat a little bit of the matter, strengthening through mentoring. So this could be sort of a needs assessment. You can have this list to discuss as the time goes on, thinking about what kinds of services and activities connect us to our place. So in your setting, what connects you to Guam. And you know, I learned this about Guam. North Guam and South Guam, very different. One side is limestone and one side is a volcano. And so when I was in Guam, I had to remember to ask the teachers who were working with me in gardening which part of the island they were from, because that changed the way you think about gardening and what you could grow and how you could grow it. So, you know, your answers are going to be unique to your place. So we won't take so much time this time. Maybe we'll only take 3 or 4 minutes, turn and talk. Like I said, you can form us the same group or a different group, but let's start generating a list of services, activities that connect you to your place. What relationships and connections do you need?
Okay, turn and talk. Also, your input on the first question or the first 2 questions, please don't throw them away. We're going to collect them out before you leave today. Is that okay? All right, thanks. Megway, how many minutes did you give them? How many minutes? 4. 3 to 4. Okay, here's the time. I'm going to interrupt you just for a couple of seconds. Your first responses, would you send them down? These first 2 rows right there, send them to Eloise and Terrence will pick them up. And then the last 2, you send it this way and we'll pick them up. Pam will pick them up. Thank you.
If you have Post-its from the first question and you want to post it, will you please do that? We would like to collect them. And yeah, this first question and second question, Post-it. We would like to document your thoughts on the questions that Dr. Cole's asked you.
You ready, Pam? Okay, that's about it. Sorry about that. We're going to take, I know how excited you are with Dr. Ko's interactive activities. Welcome to service learning. At any rate, we're going to now pause and hear from a couple of groups. Terrence, do we have one volunteer at the backside? I'm not your boss.
I'm being facetious.
Okay, I can handle that.
I love you, Calm, not a problem.
Hurry up.
Anyone, yes, boss. Anyone who has a person that they wanted to discuss on the second question. Volunteer. Oh, you can have me.
I got it at the
Got
second.
it? Okay,
Got it.
Carmen's got it.
So for question number 2, it says, what relationships and connections do we need? My partner and I were discussing, and one of the things that we had discussed is the familial connection to the village, the familial connection to the island. And so the example that I gave was 20, 30 years ago, you had Tan Chai down the street who, at that time, we didn't have Village Watch, we didn't have, neighborhood, whatever. But Tan Chai always knew who was coming in and out of the village. She knew whose car wasn't there. She knew who. The idea of mind your own business is overcoming the ways that we were brought up, and our kids are also getting used to. They've been born into this mind your own business concept. So for us, our discussion was really the familial connection to the village, like bringing that back, because that's a very big lacking component in what I see in our kids nowadays and what I see in our villages. Thank you.
Yeah. Maybe one more volunteer? Anybody in the front? Yeah? Mary?
We have one here.
All right.
This is in response to the first question, what kinds of certs mentoring younger children in the elementary schools. We also have what is it, volunteering at the animal shelter. So there's a whole bunch of different activities that students can get involved in.
Thank you. And you one more? Are you okay, Dr. Ko? Okay.
You want to hear one more sharing, Dr. Ko? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, how about...
Sure,
okay, how about the only reason I asked is that you only have 10 minutes left. I'm sorry. At any rate, how about the midsection here? Right there.
Hello, my name is Lali. I'm from PREL Middle School, and in our school we do a lot of activities such as tree planting, school cleaning, recycling, adopted street, and village beautification program, and also adopted bus stop. And then we also collect, before the Christmas season, we collect a lot of canned food and give it to the Salvation Army. And that way we teach responsibility and also a little bit compassion to the community, you know. And these are some of the activities that I do in my school. And it's been happening for the last 18 years, and I like to continue more, you know, with the program. And thank you. That's all.
So thank you all very much. If we could go to the next slide, and I will connect your thoughts. And so the next slide has a quote from Louisa Chawla. And Miss Dr. Chawla studied environmental activists for many, many years and wanted to know what exactly motivated them. Why are they in this work? Why are they environmental educators or doing something that promotes sustainability, service learning? She had a really broad definition of ecological values. It's also included exactly what you said, service and community. She integrated that into ecological values. And she wanted to know, why did people choose to go into this work? And she found out that in the quote, that these values can be ascribed to a combination of many hours spent outdoors in a wild or semi-wild place in childhood or adolescence. So exactly what you're saying, cleanups, going and doing ocean cleanups, working with the homeless, going to a soup kitchen, everything you named, with an adult. So the key here is that this combination of spending time in nature or in settings like nature and with an adult. So this whole idea of mentoring is really key to the idea of creating and developing and learning values, which goes back to the first comment you had about the village. And in the old days, yeah, I had it too. I remember, I cannot get away. I was not a very good child. If you ask my parents, I often got into lots of scrapes. You know, looking back, I did things like, oh, going to school and then find a little, in Malaysia, I grew up in Malaysia, we had these monsoon drains. And it would, during a storm, it would fill up and there would be frogs and fish. And I would like sneak out of the classroom to go fishing and doing frogs. I love being in nature so much. So this whole idea of being in nature and being with an adult. So the mentoring you're doing is crucial to developing these ecological values. You know, and I remember those times doing that and working with an adult around understanding what were those frogs and fishes that were happening in this drain. So it wasn't just me wasting time, it was also me gaining an understanding and knowledge about ecosystems. So the role of mentors and the role of adults is primary, is really crucial in this learning and in this service. So next slide, please. And I'm going to go around. Another thing to think about as we think about service learning is the whole idea of we're looking at patterns in nature. We're looking at cycles. And so the cycle of cultural preservation and transformation. Many of you have already started mentioning service learning projects that do this. Preservation of cultural histories and heritage, and the transformation of cultural identities and practices contribute to sustainable communities. Through service learning, I believe that students will develop the ability to discern with others what to preserve in your culture and what needs to change in order for future generations to thrive. So maybe no longer do we have that uncle or auntie who was the gatekeeper at the village, who helped us keep track of the neighbors, who knew whether the car is not there. Maybe that's no longer appropriate, but we can still have this culture of caring for each other and knowing each other. You know, like the balance between minding your own business and being a caring community. How do we maybe use texting or modern digital technologies to help us stay integrated and still stay united and to have us safeguard our neighborhood? Because that was the role of that elder who was sitting in the village. He or she's role was the guardian. They would be able to let us know the ins and outs. And so maybe if that has passed, how can we, through service learning, think of another way that we can still be guardians of our community so that we can thrive? So just thinking about a different way of looking at it. Next slide, please. So again, another description of sustainability that's tied to service is that possibility that human and other life will flourish on the planet forever through our work and through our mindset. Next slide, please. One last thing to think about. So the first one was thinking ecologically and act locally. Second thing to think about, cultural preservation and transformation. And finally, very easy, when we're thinking of service, ecological sustainability, as well as social sustainability, remember that there's no such place as a way. You cannot throw anything away. It always comes back either in the biological sphere or in the economical sphere or in the technosphere. And just like energy, you can misdirect your energy by doing something not so good, or you can direct your energy towards service. There's no such place as a way. This energy cannot be destroyed or created. It just gets transformed from one situation to the other. And it's our task as part of service learning providers and guides and facilitators to remember that none of this work we do actually disappears. It accumulates or it transforms. There's no such place as a way. And so really wanting to bring back the idea of healthy commons as part of when you think about relationships and connections and what services and activities you can do, either locally or regionally, that healthy commons are all that upon which we depend. And we're all responsible. We can't own it, but we're responsible. For example, air, trust, biodiversity, climate regulation, our collective future, water, libraries, public health, heritage sites, topsoil, beaches. These are healthy commons. Students will be able to recognize and value the vital importance of the commons in our lives and for our future. They will assume the rights, responsibilities, and actions to care for the commons. So learning about the commons, identifying the commons, allows you to know that there's all these things that we're responsible for. You can't just put it away. We're all connected. Finally, if you would go through the next two slides. So we are running on time. You can turn and talk these next two slides, but just keep in mind as you go through the next few days, thinking about service learning and strengthening through mentoring. Visualize and vision what kind of future do you want for your students and for yourself. What do you want to sustain, for whom and for how long? And then next slide, just some questions to ponder. Eloise or somebody, I don't know if there's some way to just put those questions up, and over the next few days, maybe people can ponder about it. Yeah, we've sort of run out of time to discuss it. But as we move along, thinking about sustainability and service learning, you know, what kind of future do we want? What are we already doing? Now we've done service learning now for 4 years. What is going well? What do we want to keep doing? What might we want to change? What do we need to stop doing, and what maybe need to start doing? So the next few slides are pictures of service learning happening quite specifically on the Big Island of Hawaii. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So I'll just show some pictures, real pictures of young people at Hawaii Preparatory Academy, specifically at Hawaii Preparatory Academy. And the main event, we have 2 large events that we incorporate or we use service learning to put on. The first one is Service Learning Day in November, and it's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And then our second really large Service Learning Day, where it's a concerted effort, is Earth Day in April. So this is scene. Just want you to notice the scene. And if we had time, I'll get you to turn and talk about it. But this is what I want you to notice. I want you to notice that every person in this picture is not the same age. Do we notice that? Yeah? So, and what I really love is Joyce. She's from the Marshall Islands. She was on scholarship at HPA. She's teaching Auntie. She's teaching Auntie how to make a plate from this coconut fronds. So strengthening to mentoring, it doesn't always only happen adult to student. There is an exchange going on in this picture. And then there's a middle schooler in the foreground, she's also learning, and then in the background, you see there's an elementary student. So in one shot, we have 4 different generations learning together. And they are making these coconut plates so that when we have our lunch later, we won't have any, it will be a 0 waste lunch. Yeah, we won't have things we would throw away. So just to notice this strengthening through mentoring. Next picture, please. More mentoring. So the gentleman in red who is painting the bamboo, this is his agroecology class. Again, it's a service learning class, and they, as a class, prepare and get ready for Earth Day because it fits into agroecology. So some of his students decided that they wanted to build a pavilion at the school farm, and they wanted to only use local bamboo. So you can see the scene there. They went to harvest the bamboo with a local bamboo expert. This is all Hawaii grown at bamboo. So the lower picture has the, they went for a harvest. The upper picture has the students sanding it and painting it. Next picture, please. So yeah, can you imagine the learning that's going on here? All the architecture, going to harvest. This is teamwork. It's quite heavy. They had to learn how to, the 3 young men in the bamboo post, they're filling in the joints with concrete. So all this learning that's going on, and again, always with a mentor, always with an adult, guiding, supporting, setting an example. And so you can see them in service and in learning. Next picture, please. This picture really shows to me the learning. So they finished building the bamboo structure. And on Earth Day, the student had to explain to the community how it was built. So you can see he has this model he made with dowels and styrofoam or whatever. And the actual building behind him. How did they do it? What were the mechanical forces that went into it? So example of service learning. And then the next picture, please. And so then this service learning day involves growing food for our food bank. So there's a cycle of preparing for growing uwala, which is our sweet potatoes. And it's done in community. A lot of people come and get involved and plant at the farm in HPA different kinds of sweet potatoes. And as you can see, it's students, again, working with adults. Lower left picture has students serving with a couple of local farmers who are teaching them at the same time about the uwala, the sweet potato. And then next slide, please. This is the bountiful harvest that we got for our food bank. So finally, to end with a really amazing picture of service learning. So as you can see, service without the sharing out of your knowledge is not service learning. And you can see this young lady, she's featured in this montage. I really wanted to show you what she's doing, is that she has taken on a personal service learning project. I just wanted to show you how it doesn't always have to involve the whole class or the whole school. Her personal service learning project is to get a minimum of 1,000 trees planted by the time she's a senior. So how she's thinking of how she can amplify her efforts, because in her 75 hours, she can't plant 1,000 trees. So she's going out and joining different activities and teaching people to plant trees. And that's her teacher with her top right corner, and they're explaining what it'll take, and then she's guiding others. She's teaching others the correct way to plant trees, the digging of the holes and the putting in of the correct fertilizer and amendments for a healthy tree. So our time is up, unfortunately. And this has been such an exciting time just to share some ideas of sustainability and service learning that we could apply not only regionally, but also locally in service of community resilience, in service of the common good. So I thank you very much for your kind attention. This has been an experiment doing it virtually. I don't know if we're going to have Q&A now or a little later. What do you think is happening?
Do we have a few minutes for maybe question and answer? Does the audience have any questions for Dr. Ko? All right, one moment, Dr. Ko.
Hi, our group was talking about how, we're an island, just like you're in an island, but some of our island children don't like to be in the sun and sweat. They want the air conditioner, they want the electronics, and so I'm just interested in, is it just our children, or is it, and we have the weather that's year round, and to plant, to grow. So I was just curious.
Yes, it's an international problem, and the only way is to take them out there and let them whine. They're just gonna whine, and they're gonna whine, and they're gonna whine, and then at the end of it, they're gonna go, well, why did we come outside before? So really, it's always like this. We start out like, oh, I'm dying. It's so hot. This is hard work. And then you go inside and they evaluate the day. The best thing I ever did was dig a hole to plant those trees. So I think human nature, even as adults, we want to take the easiest way out. And however you look at how a civilization has progressed, taking the easiest way out has unfortunately landed us where we are today. So I advocate child labor. I'm not shy. That's what they're for. And you can use it as service learning, but honestly, we do have to draw the line and just say, tough, sometimes I'm in charge, we're going outside, we're doing this. And I know some of you have experiences. Of course, you're gonna have your one or two, but generally, at the end of the day, they're dirty, they're sweaty, and they're happy, and they've all done the right thing. So that's why we're here together as a collective. So that when you're planning and you have people whining or not wanting to do it, you can call a friend you made in this room and say, what am I supposed to do? And the friend or the colleague can say, I have your back. If so-and-so starts complaining, we'll get them together and we'll bring them along. So really, I just can only say you can make no exceptions. We are so disconnected from outside. We are so disconnected from nature. Until we really cultivate this opportunity to be in nature, I don't believe we can have these ecological values that are based in our traditional indigenous values. You know, in Hawaii, we say malama, aina, we care for that which we, I know in Chamorro you have the same thing. We have this amazing value of inafa maulek. It's my favorite value, Chamorro value of reciprocity. And so you're going to get what you give, and sometimes it comes with a lot of whining, but we can handle.
Okay, I have I guess a question. I wanted you to maybe help share our love for community gardening. There's not many, I mean, if any at all, Island Girl Power has a community garden, and we're really trying to promote it because of the high obesity and diabetes and cholesterol rates on the island, heart disease. And it's hard to tell people about a community garden and the benefits if they don't see it working. And Hawaii has so many beautiful community gardens. So I just hope that you could elaborate that as far as the service learning project.
Certainly. Community gardens, keep in mind, is going to be a very long-term service learning project. So you may start it as a freshman and see it all the way through as a senior. We found that one works. You know, so the expectations are you can't do this overnight. And I assume your administration has the flexibility that if a child starts a project as a freshman and wants to see it all the way through as a senior, and I think that's even really fantastic. And then along the way, take on younger students and they mentor. And so what we found out about the community garden is that, yes, it needs a caretaker. So the caretakers. So the caretaker or caretakers can be a group of students, can be a group of community working with students, but there always has to be that caretaker. You know, someone, a point person that someone can always go to. So that's the way community gardens works. In Hawaii, for years, we've been writing for soft money. That's how we've managed to support it for the past few years. We've been writing for soft money and using grants to pay community garden or school garden coordinators part-time, a few hours a week. But we found that unless we do that, and that person also maybe is the service learning coordinator, so a lot of jobs in one, yeah, that the grant can cover. We need that person. Right now, and it's a service learning project, thanks to several students who have taken this on, we have taken school and community gardens up to the legislation. We are, crossing fingers, hoping that in the next session, our legislation will pass a bill, a farm to school bill. And in that farm to school bill, really start to institutionalize school and community gardens as part of the education program. And therefore the funding will come out, it'll be appropriated, you know, come out of the Department of Ed and or the Department of Ag, so that no longer, you know, constantly begging and writing for grants. So to answer your question about community gardens in Guam, your soil is so fertile, you have the 12-month growing season. I think what you may need to do is collectively, maybe a few schools in the same area, or I go back to Simon Sanchez, which is very close to Triton Farms. That could be a possibility of bringing together a few entities around this project and investing a lot of service learning time and a lot of service learning resources into this one project so that it's sustained over time. So I hope that's helpful, but that central point person is really necessary to hold this community garden project. And I know the Island Power Girl has been single-handedly holding this space for many years in Guam. So time for her to get reinforcements.
And she will. Thank you, Dr. Cole. Thank you for the information. Thank you for sharing. We would like to say Sidus Maasi, and we hope to include you again in our next service learning conferences or summit. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're really pressed for time. I'm going to give you a 2-minute stretch. Everyone's been sitting for a while. Please get on the stretch. We just need to set up for the local perspective of our providers, our service providers. Thank you. 2 minutes American time now. For those of you that have chosen to remain indoors, may I have any of your comments posted? There you go, right up here. Thank you. We're going to take your input. We're going to work with the committee and work with Dr. Ko in Hawaii to better strengthen our unify the network, service learning, so make your life a little easier.
With a projection.
I just know he's the tech guy.
Okay, he's the tech guy.
To talk to. Hi, tech guy. Did you already take back your laptop?
No.
It's gonna pull for audio on the Skype, so I didn't know. It just has 1,000 how to do it. Well, I don't need this, right?
Oh, she needs it.
Oh, she needs it. Okay.
Al, we need to set up for the signing too.
So let's set up for the before everything was taken away.
We didn't know that. We didn't know that.
They asked me for 10 minutes. I said, well, I can get a lot across with the just pictures.
Okay.
Picture slide.
1 second.
So sorry.
Yep.
So, okay, you know what, hey, that's all right. I'll do it. Yeah, this would be for the data.
Sorry, they didn't inform us.
No, it's okay, and I kind of. So, like what to
No, they don't need it.
Same people. So I think I should
Just audio.
So I just leave it here and just click on audio?
Yes.
They don't need this.
Are you breaking down?
Yes. I'm gonna break down as much as I can.
That camera just did it.
Just leave the bows.
Just take the pictures.
This we need to leave this. That's broadcasting live.
Hi. Are you online right now?
Yes.
Oh. Hello.
All right, we're going to get started now. So everyone, please take your seat. Thank you, please. Thank you. Okay. We've heard from Dr. Ko in the region. Now we're going to be hearing from our local service providers. And here today joining us are Dr. John Sanchez, and he's representing the faith-based perspective. From GAIN, we have Peggy Denny. From Sunrise Rotary, we have David Bieber, and our very popular, and it's IGP, Island Girl Power. Sorry about that, Juanita. We have Juanita Balaz, please. We have Mayor Melissa Benavente Savares joining us today. And last but not least, we have Christine Sison and her colleague Larissa Camacho from Guam Community College. I'd like to ask these local providers to please come up and join us here at the table. Is that okay with you? You're welcome. Oh, no, it doesn't matter. Make yourselves at home. Now, I'm going to ask our local service providers to sort of share the mic, talk a little bit about your perspective of service learning, your expectations briefly, and then at the end we'll have you, the audience, interact with each of the local perspective if you desire. Is that okay with everyone? All right, so let's get started. I think first on the list is Dr. Sanchez.
Hello again. I am not Kevin Delgado. Kevin's not feeling well today. He's supposed to present. I just want to remind our educators that we up here are representing service providers. We are not offering service learning activities. We are the service portion. The learning portion is what the educators have to connect to. So we have opportunities for students, but it's you who need to make that connection. Okay, is that clear? Okay, so some of what we are doing may be relevant, some may not, but we do want to let you know of all the service opportunities that are available in the community. Okay, and as I am just a sub today, I asked Kevin to be here because Manila Catholic Church, Santa Teresita is very active and they have quite a number of service-based organizations, and I just wanted to share some with you so that as you speak with your students and they talk about some of these things, you'll know, if they're being honest or lying to you. Now, where are our church-going Catholics? There are a lot of Catholics. Where are our church-going Catholics? Okay, fantastic. So quite a number of you, and so I'm going to go ahead and just rattle through some of these. Some of you who aren't church-going Catholics know of everything that is available. And this, again, is only at Santa Teresita Church. Similar types of activities may be happening at other faith-based churches. Okay, so of course we have our altar servers. I'm just going to go through the list here. Altar servers, they serve during the week and weekends, carrying the cross and candles, preparing the altar, and any other tasks. Through this ministry, volunteers are able to learn discipline, responsibility, and gain a greater appreciation for the Holy Mass. So the teaching of discipline and responsibility, those are things that I know that are covered in GDOE. So as we look at connecting service to the learning portion, in addition to altar servers, we have our CCD staff or catechists or teachers' aides. They help in making sure kids are safe. They give out resources and materials. They help in teaching children about God. Volunteers are able to learn responsibility and will exercise patience and creativity. So again, responsibility, patience, creativity, those are all things that as educators we need to reinforce. Children's ministry for the teens who love working with kids. They plan and perform skits. They act out Stations of the Cross during Lent. They visit sick children at GMH, and they lead Children's Sunday Liturgy. Choir, I'm not going to go through choir. I think most of us know what church choir does. Contemporary arts, in keeping with the times, the contemporary arts dancers come together twice a week. They take time to research music and ensure that songs have a positive message. Then they use their artistic skills to choreograph and teach a dance to one another. So the fine arts we now have working in here. As well as cultural arts. The Ministry of Cultural Arts shares in their love for island culture. They practice different cultural dances, drumming, and will be going into fire dancing in the future. They perform at parish and community events. Volunteers will gain a greater appreciation for our island, its practices, and the arts. It sounds like a social studies connection. Faith and Fitness Alliance, FAFA, for the Chamorros. Yeah. They pray, they warm up, and they play a sport each month. In addition, though, they also volunteer to participate and share their knowledge of particular sports by teaching fundamentals of the games to children. So there's a PE connection there. The Grounds and Environmental Team. The Grounds team commits to maintaining a beautiful landscaping around the church property by mowing, bush cutting, pruning, trimming, water blasting, and pulling weeds. So we have a Grounds committee. Hospitality committee. They welcome parishioners at weekend masses. They take up collection, control communion lines, and they do a quick cleanup after mass. Our lectors, they are confident to stand before the people and read the Word of God. They are assigned to read at least 1 weekend a month. And also at weddings and funerals, they will be trained. And immediately thereafter, they will volunteer. They will grow in their speaking skills and feel better and more confident in their presentation through regular training and service. At Manila, we have our umbrella, the Manila Magic. It's the leadership group where all members learn to plan activities, retreats, execute social, spiritual service, and fundraising events. Volunteers are able to participate in leadership trainings and seminars. So more leadership building. Media ministry, this is a connection to the language arts. The media ministry get together twice a month to lay out a monthly parish newsletter for the church and put together music videos and infomercials that bring messages to the youth. They find creative ways to utilize the gift of technology to share their message. And we'll also be starting a sign language team. So those are just some of the activities that are happening at Manila Church. Again, this is just an example of what the faith-based organizations have to offer. Talk with your students about what organizations or what faith they are members of, and I'm sure that that faith-based organization will have activities that are appropriate for them. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanchez. Our next speaker is Peggy Denny. I'm sorry, Peggy. And Peggy represents, and it's my error, she's here representing iRecycle, obviously, and also Southern Soil and Water Conservation, as well as our doggies. That battery's running low? Oh, right. I'll call the techie.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? Are you having a great day? Good, good. So I have a couple hats, but my biggest hat is as administrator of the iRecycle program. And that has been going, we're now in our 8th year. And as I think all or most of you know, the program was created to promote the recycling of aluminum beverage cans for the financial benefit of the schools. And the schools have made close to $200,000 now, which is really wonderful, but we're still scratching the surface. So we keep pushing on that, expanding that program. But as the program has evolved, then I've felt it really incumbent upon us to aggressively recycle at all major events and 5Ks and all sorts of things, and even help people with with their family parties if they ask for bins or whatever, so that we're focusing on aluminum cans and plastic bottles and food waste to go to pig farmers, biodegradables, encouraging the use of paper-based products, plant-based products as opposed to styrofoam, steel, glass, whatever we can recycle on Guam, trying to separate that out from the waste that ends up at the Lodson landfill. And just a little side note, if you remember reading an article that we're filling the landfill faster than was anticipated, that's actually not true. We're actually ahead of the game, which is good, and not to say we should generate more trash, but you know, we are doing well, and we can always do much, much better. So to give you an example, if you're not aware, I often send out emails to the service teachers that I'm aware of, and if you would like to be on the listserv that I have, please let me know, because I'm trying to get the word out to all the students, and particularly those, you know, the high school students that need the 75 hours. This weekend alone, we have Trench Fest, which is a big 2-day concert, and we'll be recycling there. We have the Chamorro Lunar Festival all day Saturday as well, and so those are events that I'm hoping I will get lots of volunteers for. I've heard from 3 people so far, so hopefully there will be more tomorrow. And then there's innumerable events that come up throughout the year. I really am striving to work with schools. All this is obviously tied into biology and waste management and zero waste. That's what we're striving for, to work with schools to help incorporate a zero waste or pretty darn near program is something that I really love to do, because you look at your waste, you kind of do what they call a waste characterization study, but it really means going through the trash and seeing what you generate, fun times. And you say, okay, so we're generating aluminum cans and lots of plastic bottles. We have a lot of paper at schools, most of which ends up in the landfill. This is one thing that we can be far more aggressive about. Shredding it if possible, making it available to farmers, using it in community gardens, using it at gardens in your own school. I have one farmer that I take all the shredded paper to I can get, because he keeps saying, bring me more, bring me more. So I say, okay, not a problem. So that's any of these things. Another thing, I've been diverting waste from the GPA-GWA job site, which has really been pretty cool, because we are striving for 75% waste diversion, because it's a project, Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. And if they can achieve 75% waste diversion, that is 2 LEED credits for them, which is really pretty cool, because I think that's a first on Guam. So one of the things that I have a lot of is excess PVC. So PVC can be used for a number of things, and it should not end up in a landfill or a hard fill. So I would love to work with any of you who are interested in creating things. There's a game called ladder golf that you can make for schools, and I really want to work with Island Girl Power and NAWIC, National Association of Women in Construction. We want to pursue that, but there's so many things that can be done. There's lots of different types of waste, and I'm really, really happy that we've been able to find homes for a lot of it. I have a lot of slate and ceramic tile that I'm still working on that I need to find uses for, but the uses are out there. You know, it's just being creative, and again, not having that go into a landfill. Okay. Okay, so moving on to GAIN. So I'm president of GAIN, which is not something I had planned, but anyway, that's kind of how it is. And GAIN is an awesome organization. It's a 501c3 nonprofit. We have the shelter in Chico. We have a wonderful board. And so we are focusing, and we're working right now with Humane Society International and Humane Society US to implement a long-term spay-neuter clinic that is going to be at low cost to try to encourage as many people as possible to bring in their dogs. We have to focus on dogs right now. You might find this surprising. There was a survey that we conducted that had been designed by Humane Society International, and it was conducted in 10 villages throughout Guam based on population size. And the data that has come back is that we have over 60,000 dogs on Guam. owned and unowned and quasi-owned. We have lots of people who have dogs that they feed, but when the mayor or whatever comes by and says, you need to tie up your dogs or restrain your dogs, they say, those aren't my dogs, as you well know. Yeah, and so this is something that we need to address this mindset so that we help people understand that it's crucial that people take responsibility for their pets, that they get them spayed or neutered, that they get them licensed, that they provide them food and water and shelter. You know, speaking of shelter, I thought this was so cool. I worked with a Boy Scout who was working on his Eagle Scout badge, and he made dog houses out of pallets. We have a plethora of pallets on Guam. The only thing is that we haven't sold very many. And so again, and if you're out there, buy a dog house. They're only like 25 bucks. The idea was to keep them inexpensive, and people could take them home and paint them whatever colors they wanted, and they would have shelter for their dog, and it's a fundraiser for GAIN, and it uses up pallets. Okay, so the service learning component with GAIN can be incredibly valuable, because what I want to do is work with a couple teachers to develop a curriculum, and we also have a curriculum that will be adapting from Humane Society International that they're working on, so that we can adapt it to Guam, but teach it to the high school students, have them teach it to the rest of their classmates throughout the school, and then go teach the middle school and elementary kids within their area, so that we're talking about pet care and management, so that we're talking about the importance of spaying and neutering and helping people understand the ramifications of not doing that, and the current legislation, the legislation that's on the books. How many of you know that there actually is a law that if you feed a dog for 3 days, it's yours? And that's really true, and they say, well, that's not my dog. You know, so this is, yeah, even, as Mayor says, throwing scrap out your back door. So these are things, I mean, if we get the high school students disseminating this information through all the schools, then the kids take it home to their parents, and we help change this mindset to have a greater sense of responsibility and caring for these animals. And then finally, the Southern Soil and Water Conservation District, I have a part-time, I know I'll hurry, I have a kind of a part-time position with them. The Soil and Water Conservation Districts focus on helping landowners, and it isn't restricted to just farmers, but people who farm, people who do maybe just subsistence farming in their backyard, or who have property but they have issues with soil and water, as it says. So there are lots of issues, lots of ramifications with respect to flooding, and how to appropriately address these issues. One of the things that I would like to help focus on is the use of cover crops. Now, if that's a term that's new to you, it just means that you plant something whenever you're not growing something to hold in the soil, but not only to keep the soil in place, but to build it. And what's really amazing, and I think this is so cool, they're doing aggressive cover cropping in the States in the areas that used to be the Dust Bowl. And they're doing awesome things. They might have 16 different varieties of plants that they're growing in however many acres they have. Sometimes it's sections, you know, which is square miles. Much bigger farms than Guam. But this is something that we can work on with respect to Guam, but finding the plants that are appropriate for Guam. You know, even getting things like different types of beans, different types of legumes, things like that, and see what works on Guam and have pilot projects. So this is something that I hope to help promote as well. I think I'm through. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peggy. And then moving right along from the Sunrise Rotary to talk about what types of services they may be able to offer you and your students is David Beaver.
Thank you very much. Buenas and have a day. My name is David Beaver. I'm the current president of the Sunrise Club of Rotary Club of Guam. Sunrise meaning that we're a morning club. So for us, we're a little bit more unique because kind of like teachers, we like to get up a little early and get things done kind of early. But the reason why I'm here today to talk about how Rotary Club may be able to benefit the schools. with service learning. Rotary is a nonprofit group. There's actually 4 adult clubs on island right now. And then we have kind of a junior club. And then we have opportunities for high schools to set up what's called an Interact Club. And all that is simply a club within a school that does the exact same things as an adult club would do. And as a sponsoring club, we would sit down with the high school students and help give them some guidance. And what's nice and where they get the impact is these kids get a chance to form their own club and come up with their own ideas and look for ways on what they want to do and what they want to accomplish, whether it's car washes or helping out Gain or going and supporting the iRecycle program. Whatever it is that they want to do, they're clearly, they have the abilities to do so. And we can take it to another level because they're tied in with Rotary, and Rotary is all about resources and connections. If they need transportation, if they need financial support, or if they have an idea that they want to remodel the Agania pool, or they think that there's a homeless shelter issue on island and they can support it this way, if they can come up with a plan and have the idea, they can bring it to their sponsoring club, and our sponsoring club could work together to help them provide a solution for that. So it's something that gives them the ability to create, control, elect officers, have some fun, and accomplish their service learnings all in one shot. So Interact is a great way, and my personal goal as a Rotarian is to try to get Interact in all the public high schools. We've been trying for years, and we're real excited because we've just about to launch one at Teton High School. So thank you very much for your support. We really truly appreciate that. But it's for the students. It helps you as teachers. And I understand with service learning that there's an education component which Rotary can help bring in and help give some guidance. And as far as the acknowledgement as well, they can make presentations to our clubs so that our clubs can see exactly what's happening. And Rotary is not just a Guam thing, it's an international organization. So if it's something that we can't provide help for here locally, we might be able to reach out to Japan or reach out to Taiwan or reach out to the US and say, hey, we have this idea. Can you please provide some support? So we're really excited about that, and we'll be here. Also, there are some flyers passed out that there's a volunteer fair coming up on Sunday, sponsored by all the Rotary clubs at the Micronesian Mall. This is for teachers and students alike to come by and attend. So take a look at that, and if you have some time, come on down. Thank you.
Okay. And moving right along, our next speaker is Island Girl Power, Juanita Blas. Thanks, Juanita.
Going to stand up. Okay, with Island Girl Power, some of you may be aware of what we do, and then some of you are like, what's this girl power stuff? Is it Powerpuff Girls? What the heck is going on? And no, we're not completely feminist. I am a married woman of 20 years and not a man-hater. It's some of what has been said over the 13 years that we've been around. So just to clear up any misconceptions, Island Girl Power is about empowering young girls 7 to 14. How do you do that? You engage mentors. You teach leadership in the high school. You bring in positive roles that are in college. You bring in adults that have passions for environment, for nutrition, for careers, and that's everything service learning. And we've learned that. We've learned that Island Girl Power has been a huge service learning conduit because yes, our members are 7 to 14, but we can't do our job to mentor those young girls without high school volunteers that are positive role models. And you can't develop the positive role models by just saying, come to the facility and spend a couple hours, because it just doesn't work that way. Island Girl Power, power, encourage, inspire, and it's all about getting people to kind of live that positive life and do something better for the community in different areas. We recently have a thrift store. In June, in Dededo, we have the Corazon is Sing Song thrift store, the heart of the village. I talked to the mayor about it. We have the heart of the village. She has the brain of the village. We are indebted though. So we're looking for donations, and we have a lot of high school students. The most population that we have is from Simon Sanchez coming over for service learning. Their whole math department sent their students over. And then we have other teachers that are sending their students over because this is budget management, this is family planning. When you have a thrift store in the community, it's recycling at the next level because most people will just toss what they have. And there's no thought to the next population of people that will be using those secondhand goods. And it's not just low-income families. We have a lot of different kinds of people that come to the thrift store. And it's not just for Halloween costumes. I just had to say, JFK loved the thrift store for the Halloween, we had a haunted house at one of our facilities. The JFK senior class used our building for their haunted house. We have an Island Girl Power in Molesso that desperately needs volunteers. Teen mentors, adults, meet every Saturday from 10 to 2, 4 hours. And right now they're doing, they made a quilt and they're holding a raffle May 1st to raffle off that quilt that they made. They operated a sewing machine. Good on them because it's been a while since they touched one. With Island Girl Power, we have been I guess somewhat instrumental. Eloise can back me up on that. We're working on and 98% ready with the service learning website for all of you that we'll be showcasing during this summit. So in preparation for that, we have projects that we've developed with partnerships. There's 2 here. This is just a sampling. We have one that is an apprenticeship to a Surohana, and the other one that's Reach Out and Read. Students collect books for elementary and children, 5 and below. They schedule with public health and us to come and read to the kids that are waiting to see the doctor, and then they give the free books away. So literacy at its best. And then we have projects that we've developed and pulled out and made outlines for, that for all of you that have students that say transportation, or they have some disabilities, slower learning, and you know, if they're having struggles at home, it's hard for them to think of the whole island. I can't save the whole island. I can't go across the island to clean the reef or, you know, pick up trash at the beach. They're projects they can do in their backyard. The top one is invasive species control. The second one is food sustainability with the home garden, family garden. The bottom one here is monthly observances. They make a poster board of one of the ribbons, find out what month it goes to, and pass out the ribbons to their peers, talking about breast cancer prevention, drug prevention, so on and so forth. And then they have ARC programs. Recently, I met with a bunch of high school boys, and all of my sister-in-laws were like, what the heck is she doing? She's Island Girl Power. But the boys, I was speaking with them because we have a family violence issue on the island. We have an alcohol abuse problem on the island. And Island Girl Power is an education and awareness program. So I go up to the boys in football and I say, well, all of you who need service learning, all of them raise their hands. There's 50 of them. So I say, well, we need holes dug at Island Girl Power. We need the whole perimeter of the compound. We need 1.5 feet deep by 1.5 feet wide. And we need you guys to come and do it. And their service learning project for that is to learn a little bit about the plants we're planting around the facility. Nutritional food, craft plants, all these different plants through the gardener. And the learning part is we're teaching them about and about sexual assault prevention, statutory rape, age of consent, you know, minor things like that. But they get the point where they come into Island Girl Power and they get to do their macho, I'm gonna dig a hole. And then we give them the tour and, you know, get them introduced to some of the projects that we're involved in. And they're usually very happy afterwards. Some of them have never used a pickaxe in their life, but they're well supervised. And we get the little 12-year-old girl to show them how to use the pickaxe, just saying. And then we have, of course, the thrift store.
And everybody, probably some of you have heard about the Parks Project. This little diagram on the bottom, I wish it was clearer. From Marine Drive to the Coral Pit on Sangsong Road, Kaiser Housing Development Area, there are 26 parks that have been overgrown for 30 years or more. Some of them have been better kept up, and the mayor is doing everything she can, but everybody that says, hey, what about the mayor? It's not a government, they're not government parks. Those are neighborhood parks, and all of us need to spread the awareness that there are probably a couple of parks, and we have the inventory list if you want to make sure. But we're all about engaging the community. And whenever you guys want to hear more about this stuff, I'm right here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Juanita. And you know what, faculty and administrators, she does this every day. This is her life. So if you need, we'll also pick up her website and her contact number, just as we have Peggy up there that you can't barely read. Our next presenter is Mayor Melissa Benavente Salvarez. Talk to you about what she has to offer up in her Dedado area.
Hi, good afternoon. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity that we have today. Of course, you know, community service is about partnership. And these are our partners. You know, we work with Peggy every day because we like to pick up trash and turn it into good things, things that we can use in our communities. But of course, village cleanup happens all over the island. You know, a lot of people come out only during coastal cleanup time, but there's so much illegal dumping, especially when we started seeing the cost of, you know, we have to pay for trash disposal. People don't have the money to pay. So what they do is they go out to the dark jungle areas, you know, that are not lit, and start tossing things out of their vehicles. So we get a lot of illegal dumpings, believe it or not, especially around the solid waste facilities. You know, they're driving up there and then figure, well, I'm going to put it next to the bus stop near the transfer station. Another thing is by the coastal areas, we get a lot, and schools, down at Tengisan Park and all over the island, Rizal Beach, all the beaches have problems with illegal dumping, and we need to protect our waters. So we don't just have volunteers come in during coastal cleanup time. They come in also during, every month we get groups of military commands and squadrons that come up to the communities and help with illegal dumping. What we do is we sort the trash, and it's not just trash. We take all the recyclables out, and our goal is to take more recyclables to the facilities than we do trash to the landfill. And so, of course, we have emphasized that by having a higher recyclable rate intake than we do trash. Mornings, of course, I heard earlier with the presentation that people don't like to go out, especially because it's hot. You know, everybody, you know, with all the technology that we have now, everybody wants to stay indoors, do things where it's cooler. So all these trash cleanups and environmental things in the community are done. Most of them are done early in the mornings. We start 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, and we try to end before noon. And so, you know, that we also, at the same time, we get physical activity so that we're exercising while we're walking down the strips. Believe it or not, even if Tengisan Beach gets cleaned up every month we still haul out refrigerators, engine blocks, Pampers. So every month we do that. You know, we have a group that comes up every month. And I don't know why. I think I said to my staff, you know, I think these things are growing. But, you know, we know there's a sinkhole there. It comes from Manila, but I don't think it's coming from Mayor Nito's area. Okay. But you know, it's just we just have to change the mentality of people. Most things, you know, car engines can be recycled. They can be taken to a metal place. Mr. Daniel Chu at Global will take it, and so would Pyramid, because that metal they can recycle and get some money, you know, when we send it, and they pay for it. So a little, you know, metal pipes that are laying around your homes. People, you know, you hear the word Massey. That's actually somebody's last name, but that individual actually started a recycling facility many, many years ago. here on Guam. And so that's why a lot of people that don't have jobs, they go maxi in the neighborhoods. Nowadays, car batteries, Delco, AC Delco is paying $8 per car battery. So if you have a car battery that is laying around, I have a son who's an adult now, but used to, during the summer, used to go around the neighborhood and collect window air conditioners. At the time, they were taking them for $14. And car batteries, and of course, all the aluminum and metal that he can find in the neighborhood, and sell it to buy his shoes for school. So if we teach our families, you know, a lot of families, the mayors get residents that come in and say, Mayor, my children are starting school in August. We need to buy them uniforms. Can you help us with money? And, you know, we're saying, what did you do in June when you knew you had to buy, you know, uniforms? Did you check for people who left the school and can recycle their uniforms? Because I turn in my uniforms, my children's uniforms. Or did you collect cans, clean somebody's house? You know, there's ways to do it, ways to make money. And like I said, when I found out, when we did an oil collection several months ago, waste oil collection several months ago, and I saw AC Delco bringing batteries and paying people, giving them $8 cash for every car battery that they brought in. I said, I'm gonna go look for car batteries, you know? But those are ways that we learn how to not only protect our environment, but also how to make money. So we encourage not only the children, but also their families, how to do these things. Another project that we have in our communities, and several villages have summer camps, after school programs, Christmas camp. I know Sinahanya and Aganya Heights have Christmas and Easter camps. And we're always looking for students that can come in and help plan the activities. I do it with our summer camp program. We get the students to come in March or April, and we start planning. What do we want our kids to do for the summer? And so they're not for the entire summer. In Dedido and Agate's case, we do three 2-week sessions for summer camp. And so we get high school students to come in, help us with, we give them the schedule, we give them a sample of what we've done the previous years, and they look, what can be fun, what do they like to do? And most of the camp leaders that I have that come in and help us with in the last 2 years are our previous former campers. So they know what they like to do. You know, they don't want me planning something, because I'll do a movie that I like to watch, I'll do an activity that I like to do, and I'm boring for them, right? So we let the teens, the youths, plan our activity. So they plan this starting April. They look at all the field trips that they want to go to. They look at how it's going to tie in with the education of the children. Because, during the summertime, if the children are not in summer school, we want them to also be learning. We want them to be reading. So they'll do a field trip to the library, so that our library time in Dedido, it's Tuesdays and Thursdays, or Thursdays that they have at 10 o'clock, reading library time. So, they'll schedule a field trip to the library on a Thursday. And then, of course, other things. We also like to focus on being preventive, being, alcohol, tobacco-free citizens, and drug-free citizens. So we have guest speakers that come in. But of course, we want to integrate that with sports. And so we have the youth come in and help. So those are things that we can do, not just in Dedido, but in the other villages, because other villages also have summer programs, after school, and school break programs. Other things, we have the Neighborhood Watch program that we partner with a lot of groups. The Guam Police Department is one. And in the precincts, emphasizing encouraging families with the Neighborhood Watch program. And the first thing that we do in a neighborhood when families want to be a participant of the Neighborhood Watch program is we go out with the police officer, of course, and one of our staff to do a home assessment. But what we proposed to our counselors several months ago with GPD is that we also train our high school students to be members of our Neighborhood Watch program. Because once they become trained and learn how to do We probably will not want them to do home assessments because some people, you know, of course, they can tell their friend, hey, so-and-so has that kind of stuff, you know, let's hit their house, let's skip school and hit their house. We don't want to do that, those things to happen. But to go through a training where they learn how to be participants of a neighborhood watch program, and they're watching out, like maybe over at Mrs. Diaz's place where they see a brown truck come and they know that she doesn't have a brown truck. So they're gonna call the neighbor next door or Mrs. Diaz and say, you know, there's a brown truck at your house and they're taking your washing machine. Is it your cousin or your nephew? So that's a type of neighborhood watch program that we want our students to engage in. But then among other things, you know, also be the eyes and ears of in the parks, because the kids are hanging out at the parks, maybe even at the mall if we partner with the mall security. And then, so GP, they will go through a training with the Guam Police Department at the different precinct level. Okay, another thing is that we also have the AmeriCorps program. I think if we had 2 more board members here, we'll have a core, but Bonnie, Leon Guerrero, and Peggy are part of the AmeriCorps program as well. And we have programs that are with the AmeriCorps program. Students can participate in AmeriCorps, and they get, after they graduate from high school and they're in a program, they can earn educational credit, educational credit hours, right? And it's 250 hours, or $2,500, right? And 2,800 in educational credits towards their college or university tuition. It also takes care of books, and then they do get a stipend. But of course, part of the program is that they also need to come out into the communities and volunteer. As a matter of fact, one of the 3 of the parks that Juanita was talking about earlier is a park that the AmeriCorps program went in, and they were doing community help, actually clear the areas out and of all the metal, and they restored the concrete bathroom that was there. Of course, you don't want to use it as a bathroom because the utilities haven't been hooked up, but they're using it for storage, to store their gardening equipment and stuff. But more importantly, they're teaching the neighbors, the people that live there, the residents that live there. They're engaging them and empowering them to garden. And many of the residents say, well, Mayor, what do we garden? Well, what do you like to eat? If you like bananas, plant bananas. If you like tomatoes, plant tomatoes. We're trying to teach them, part of NCD is teaching them how to eat healthy and teaching them physical activity. Gardening is physical activity. So, you know, there's many ways to do that. So there's programs, part of the programs, several of the programs that we have is the Ama Italtata Farm with Bernie Nelson in Dedito, the Swamp Road area. If you haven't been there, she has great programs, and she has most of the medicinal plants, the local medicinal plants, and she grows those things. She also has, you know, ways to mix them with other things to help with particular illnesses. We have Sanctuary Incorporated, of course, that helps our youth that, you know, have substance abuse problems, runaway youth. We have Guam Academy for right now, Tatuha, which is twinning, and we have Justice Corps with the court, and Homeland Security. So there's many programs with the AmeriCorps program, and it's a volunteer program. The special day for them is, of course, our Make a Difference Day in October, and then our Martin Luther King event this coming Monday. So there's many, many programs, but go out to the community, no matter where you go, mayor's office, different programs that we have, Guam Police Department, you can engage for service learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Suarez. And we save the best for last, no disrespect to our other providers. But we have Guam Community College with Christine Sasan, and she'll talk a little bit about what their services look like.
Well, how could I compete with all of that? Havide, good evening. I'll try to keep this brief, okay? My name is Christine Season, and I'm with the program called College Access Challenge Grant Program. How many of you have heard of College Access Challenge Grant Program? Okay. Oh, yay! We serve the middle school, high school, and adult high school programs. If I could have Larissa Camacho come up here and help me pass the brochures out. Our program, our goal is to help our students, our targeted populations, access college and to prepare them. And some of our activities, I'm just going to brief you before I go into the service learning part. We offer tutoring, free tutoring to our low-income, first-generation individuals with disabilities. First generation meaning neither parent has earned a bachelor's degree. So they earned an associate's degree, they still qualify as a first generation student. We offer tutoring, offer our refresher courses in Summer Bridge. Those are our popular services with career exploration. We do advising on financial aid to help them understand the free application for federal student aid. We have cultural activities where we have the field trips during the summer, and we're also known for partnering with GDOE and of course UOG in putting summits so that our students are aware of career opportunities. Our goals again are to help these students identify what career options are out there, what education options are out there. And interesting to note that, you know, I don't know if you heard of the grant aid ads that have been going out, $1,000 to go to college. It's interesting, as I was intaking the forms from each of our applicants, I asked them to rate their area of interest in services. Number one, I think, 100% of them, financial aid. A second thing, understanding about career options, college. And then third, most importantly, for those that are probably enrolled in, or getting ready to enroll in college or have some experience through the dual enrollment, time management. So, you know, in helping our students to go into college, we wanted to take topics that they can take with them. And so this is where the service learning part comes, because in order for a student to graduate, they needed service learning. So we thought, what can we do to help our students to succeed? Because our motto is helping our students, or helping students to succeed. And we wanted to find out what we can do. So we decided to develop this program called Students Taking Action to Reach Success, the acronym STARS. So what we is to have activities, one of them being like a financial aid ambassadors. We do the orientation, we train them. We have tutors that are in college that can help them. But you know, we were looking at this actually for participants in our program, but being here kind of opened my eyes to, we could open up to maybe other participants who are interested in helping our populations. But I can tie that into even a math class or business class, anyone who aspires to work in the financial aid part. And we also have workshops or professional development so that students don't know about career options or soft skills. And so because we see through the bridge how well connected our students are with their tutors, we thought, why don't they create the workshops, things and topics that relate to them that help them develop those skills, either communicating using a PowerPoint. It could be through a computer class, it could be a career class. What, you know, being here today also helps me identify how do we together make that connection? Because being college access and being a fairly funded program, community partnership is a big thing. Making that connection with teachers is important. Anyway, I write my notes here. So I gave you one activity, financial aid ambassadors. Another thing will be helping coordinate workshop activities, team building. And they could develop planning and organization skills, research, critical thinking, computer skills, if students help to volunteer. And the students can help give back by doing presentations to our populations, okay? Then we also have outreach activities. We usually do this at PTOs or PTCs, the parent-teacher conferences, or we even have our major mall event. By the way, if I can get that information to Dr. Garrido to share with this community. We have this mall event annually. It's called the College Access and Community Resources Fair. Usually we use our tutors, but we would like to see maybe some of our volunteers help out to give the information of the booklet, share about what we are, what we can do, and how we can help students succeed and prepare academically and prepare for college. So those are some of my major ideas with these activities. We are targeting though the 11th and 12th graders. Although I know service learning is for all high school, we figured this is more appropriate for the 11th and 12th graders because there's a tie-in. If they make that connection and they understand and they know about financial aid, they can help others in turn, but they can also develop themselves a mindset. Okay. So are there any questions? And if there are, you know our contact. I want to introduce my coordinator who's heading this project. This is Larissa Camacho. Yay.
Stand up and be recognized.
She was supposed to talk, but I didn't know it was going to be panelist stuff. So,
I'm so sorry.
That's okay, that's okay. So thank you for your time, and we can be a service to your students too. Would like for us to do a presentation, we'd be more than happy to do that too. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Does the audience do you have any questions? Yes, all right, well, I'd like to thank each and every local service provider for participating in this first day. We hope to see you tomorrow again, if you have some time. So what we're gonna do is we're going to close out, but before we close out, I'd like to acknowledge some businesses and some people and institutions. I would like to thank Superintendent John Fernandez for making this possible and for the next 2 days. Likewise, Dr. Sanchez, who is our host along with the University of Guam, the School of Education. PREL with Dr. Ming Co. Wasn't she just delightful? Really wonderful. The Bureau of Statistics and Planning, Guam Coastal Management Program, Guam Department of Agriculture, of course, Guam Housing Corporation, National Office Supply, Southern High School's National Honor Society will be joining us hopefully Saturday, and I think they're here too today helping out. And I'd like to also say thank you, Crown Bakery, for working on our really low budget. They'll be feeding you for the next 2 days. As far as the Service Learning Committee members, this day and the next 2 days wouldn't be possible if it weren't for Melanie Bloss from Simon Sanchez. Where's Mel? Mel, where are you? Right on in. Christine Camacho, is she here? Chris, are you here? Oh, she disappeared. B. Camacho from Southern High School. Where's Kia? Terrence Emerson, where's that man? Okay, I'll bug him again when he comes in. Mary Garvelis from Tejan High, thank you, Mary. Pam Letasock from Pacific, PREL, everybody knows PREL, Pam's right there. Keena Lewis and Jacqueline Balahaja from National Park Services, where are you two? There's Keena right back there. Michelle Manharis, where's Mitch? Michelle? She's hiding. Okay, she just left. That's Southern High School. She'll be right back in. Anitra Padua would have been here today. She has been also part of our committee member. Her son, Ethan, is so sick right now. I hope you wish him well. Speedy recovery. Maribel Kanata from NOAA. Is she here, Maribel? All right. Christine St. Nicholas, who started with us, and she is out ill, so please your prayers for Christine St. Nicholas. She is a teacher down at Southern High. She has been with the Service Learning Committee for second year now. And of course, our esteemed, and we need a leader, and our leader has to be strong and really grounded and well knowledgeable. And this woman comes with multi-levels of experiences, not just in the educational field, but also in the classroom. Not just in the classroom, but also in the community. Her networking booklet is probably longer than the island of Guam. Let's give a really great thank you to Eloise Sanchez. And again, I have to say thank you to our University of Guam Dean School of Education, Dr. John Sanchez. Thank you, everyone, for coming in. Now, one more thing. Tomorrow's event is going to take you into sessions where you're interacting with not just providers, service providers, but also you're working with teachers. And they're going to be sharing their service learning, what works and what didn't work, or what's strengthened. And this is hands-on. So over at this table, you're going to have Mel and Mary. And before you leave today, after you do the evaluation, I'll turn the evaluation part over to Pam in a minute. B, do you have anything to say about how to sign up? Hold on a second. Thank you, ma'am.
Hi. Just one question for Pam. It says main presenter, so we're going to put Dr. Ko?
You can put any of it. It's for the whole day.
Okay, so just put any of the presenters or any and all of the presenters for that session. Dr. Ko on the panel. Okay, we'll put that for main presenter.
Don't leave yet.
All right, so
for next. Don't leave yet.
Before you go, we have 2 tables set up here. One for session 1, so you're going to sign up for one of the sessions that starts at 8, and then you're going to sign up for one of the sessions that starts at 10. Okay? So don't sign all 4 papers. One for each table. Then you're going to take your completed evaluation form, put it in the box, and then you are eligible for a goodie out of the box, okay, before you leave.
Is that pretty good? Hang on a second, one more. And then last but not least, I saved the best for last.
Mayor Savaras, thank you from all of us for being part of this summit. Juanita Blaise from Island Girl Power, Sinjus Maarsi, Christine, you've been with us. All of you have been with us for 2 years straight. Dr. John, David, thank you for joining us this year. And Peggy, you've been with us 2 years already in a row. All right, thank you, everyone. Safe drive, God bless. Right, see you tomorrow bright and early. It starts at 8, but if you don't mind, would you please come in 15 minutes, a half hour just to register again? If that's not to sign in, at least 15 minutes to sign in. And we take breakfast, fried rice and any scrambled eggs and okay, orange juice and okay, thanks.